Hello, everyone. We are back again with another stellar admit here. This is Anoushka Rakiram. She is one of the most successful folks in the cohort that we have had, getting calls from Booth, Columbia, as well as UC Berkeley. She will be joining UC Berkeley. So, hi, Anushka. It's great to have you here.
Good afternoon, sir. Even I'm very grateful to be here today. Didn't think I'll
Yeah.
be on this side of the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you have deserved every minute, right? Every you deserved to be there because I think you had an amazing application. So I'm sure that a lot of people would love to understand about who you are. So maybe let's start with, a quick introduction about yourself so people know, who exactly you are and where you're coming from.
Okay, perfect. Um, okay, for everyone watching, I'm Anushka Rakhiram. I've completed my undergraduate studies from St. Xavier's, Bombay. I did my undergrad in eco and statistics, a double major, and then I went on to do my master's in economics from Delhi School. Given that I started directly after my undergrad, so I was eligible to apply for the deferred MBA program. And currently, I'm working as an associate consultant at MasterCard. And the idea or the dream of applying for a deferred MBA was something since the second year of my undergrad. And I'm very grateful that I got so many calls and got an opportunity to be a part of the Berkeley Haas cohort. So, yeah.
That's amazing. So why don't you tell people about, an economics grad thinking about an MBA, right? So how tell us about that journey and how did MBA sort of come into your horizon?
All right. So for me, at least, when I got to know about the concept of a deferred MBA, I thought that let me try researching about what goes down, what does one need, what are the prerequisites at least to even like put in an application for the process. And of course, a lot of the people that I reached out to were the IIT grads. And of course, given that I was from the non-traditional background, as most of the students, I also felt that maybe my profile isn't that tailored to be accepted to such colleges, given that the pipeline was very much more structured for the IIT students. But I think there's nothing wrong in giving a shot. I mean, most of these colleges don't have an application fees, and you can just give it a shot. If it works out, good for you. If it doesn't, you can always apply for the full time. So, for me, an MBA was essential. Why I think an MBA is essential is because I plan on working in the corporate for a long time. And yeah, I think to rise up the levels and to build something of my own, which is also something I'm very passionate about. I think, which is why I thought of getting an MBA. But I did not apply directly after my undergrad because I thought that I still wanted to, you can say, specialize a bit more in my subject, economics. And I thought that that'll give me a better stand when you can say, apply for these colleges, given that I'll be more specialized for and more you can say I like more sorted when I give this application a shot. Yeah.
Lovely. So again, continuing with some of the things that you talked about, right? Which is sort of the apprehensions and challenges that you had. Like, do you believe that you had the perfect profile to apply?
No way. I don't think I had the perfect profile at all. Like most of the time I was thinking, what am I even doing? Because everyone I thought like people have gotten through, I used to think, okay, they are so much better than me and everyone is. But of course, I mean, having your closed ones around you as well as Sumeet sir, you also, you've always been like a cheerleader that come like you can do it and like your profile is different, but it is indeed unique and like good. So I think give that gave me a lot of confidence in myself. And I feel like I also thought that there is nothing like I lose something by applying. Instead, like if I apply, I'll learn something from the process. So I think that was the thing that made me go for it because it was not like I lose an arm if I don't get through or anything. It'll just be like, okay, if I don't get through, I'll know that okay, next time I have to maybe write my essays this way or do it this way. So I didn't see any harm in applying. So of course, I think that was the way that I went forward. And giving your GRE, GMAT early, of course, when you're in your college, when you're in the mindset of studying, of course, helps. So
So one
yeah.
key thing that we just kind of learned from Anushka, and this is for all of you guys who are listening, is the most sure shot way of not getting into a school is not to apply. at all,
Exactly.
right? So a lot of people I see, and this is just my own words of advice to some of you guys who are considering applying for an MBA, whether it is a full time, whether it is a referred MBA, whether it is an MFin, whether it is an MIM, whatever course, right? You do not get into a college without trying, right? And for trying you have to apply, right? And as far as we are concerned, like if you ever come to us for guidance or whatever, we will tell you very frankly if you have a chance or you should not apply. In fact, a majority of people we ask sometimes that they have such big gaps in their profile, so we tell them not to apply, because just being very upfront with you guys is what is very important. The other thing is, from the perspective of self rejection, the self rejection also is not just about at a program level. Sometimes it is at a school level. Sometimes students start thinking, oh, it is Harvard, it is Stanford, and all of these big schools, right? What will somebody like me, be able to really, like, do I even deserve to apply? Or do I deserve to be there? And that is where people end up self-rejecting. And I've seen amazing profiles, both in the full-time MBA as well as the deferred MBA and other programs, self-rejecting and not even trying, right? So that's the most sure short way of not getting into that school. So
Yeah.
anyways, I'll stop my sermoning right here because this is about Anushka and her journey, right? So why don't you then talk about, your any specific apprehensions or challenges that you felt? I mean, maybe you might have already talked about this, but any specific apprehensions or challenges you had that that you were thinking about, and how did you sort of deal, or how did you overcome some of those challenges, before you started sort of making that decision that yes, I want to apply?
Hmm. I think one of the apprehensions, of course, was the idea of self-rejection. That is my profile even good enough to apply? And
Mhm.
then, of course, I gave it a shot. I was like, I don't have anything to lose. Then second one would be actually the standardized test scores, because it's good to have like a good score in your hand, given that especially from India, where a very competitive cohort applies, everyone is applying with a, you can say, a good record of GPA as well as GMAT and GRE scores. So and when I didn't give my GRE, I wasn't even sure if I'll be able to, you can say, reach that particular level or get those scores. I think just going ahead with it, not thinking too much. I think what we humans do is we waste so much time thinking that we don't do anything. We don't end up like working on what we want to do. So in the end, I was like, okay, let me just give it a shot. And I gave GRE. And thankfully, I just crossed the 330 threshold. And I was like, thank God I don't have to look at this exam ever again in my life. And I think that was a good thing, and which is, I would of course say, start with your GRE or GMAT prep early on, and because it essentially is it's like the gate. Like essentially, if you don't have it, you can't apply. Like this is the way you at least submit an application. To even submit an application, you need a score. So of course, if you have like a few, like if you know that in an year or two you're gonna apply, then start with that prep because that's helpful.
Mhm.
And I think that was one of the apprehensions with me. Second would be the essay writing. I have read like beautiful essays, and I mean even undergrad essays, and I used to just read for fun just to know what people are writing about. And I used to think that, do I have the capability to put a story across like this? To even if I have those experiences, do I have the ability to, you can say, move the admissions committee with my story? But I think again, just sitting down with your laptop or a pen and paper, and just like start writing. Sometimes I remember when I was in a class, that's when the first sentence of my Chicago Boots essay popped in my head, which was ahoy, hello, namaste, which is basically like I'm a Navy brat. So that's when it popped in my head. So, like when you get into the mindset, like when you start thinking, okay, I have to apply, at different places, maybe you're in the washroom, you're traveling, you're in the commute, you'll get these like small sentences, you just write them down, and then you get a way of moving forward. And I think one of the most beautiful essays was my that essay about ahoy, hello, namaste, in which I wrote about myself. So I think that would be an apprehension, but giving a like, I would also suggest that don't say that you have to get it done today. Don't make it like a task. Like make it like a way that you're writing like a dear diary kind of sort. Like in that sense, I'm not saying that pour out your inner dark thoughts or anything, but in the sense that you have to give yourself space, time, and you need to like you can these ideas will pop into your head. You just need to give yourself the space. So I think that would be another way. And I mean, everyone has the ability to write, regardless of language. And I think you just need to give yourself that chance. And I think that's something I learned through the process. Yeah.
It's beautiful, actually. You kind of, talked about the final question we typically asked in the video, which is any advice as such. So now, can you share about the actual like application process, right? How did you go about it, and like who you partnered with? I know that you and I, of course, work together, but there would be other mentors and influences as well. So maybe you could just talk about, from the time you said yes, I'm going to do this, till the time you got that admit, right? Or everything in between, like in a sequential format, as
Mhm.
succinctly as possible, of course. Yeah.
Of course, I'm a big yapper, so I can just go on and on with my journey. So yeah, I think first was of course the GRE for me. Then I came to the counseling bit, but I would again suggest students to if say deferred MBA is something that you plan on applying for, then you can sometimes even start these two things in parallel. Like you can start your prep for these standardized tests at the same time your you can say your counseling, and at the same time say like taking mentorship and all of this. Because but I wasn't sure if I'm going to get that score, so I was a bit hesitant about it. And so I just like thought that maybe let me just get done with this. If I have to, like, say, if I want to apply, if I get this required score, I will, of course, apply for it. And then, of course, I took up the counseling, like your mentorship. I spoke to a few students who had gone into Columbia Business School and HBS and all these. Everyone was like, Sumeet is the god to go to. And I was like, okay, let me try to catch him. And then I emailed him and I'm like, then your team was very helpful and quickly, like we got started with the process very early on. Like quickly we were able to like sort out all the logistics, and we were able to, you can say, start with the essay writing process in this thing. Again, you guys have your own process, so we were able to first ruminate and think about what do I want to write, because I mean,
Mm.
10 things would be happening in your life today also, you just don't write everything about. So essentially boiling down, what do you want to bring into your application, what makes more sense, because every school has a different requirement also. Like some colleges do not need you to like show your emotional aspects, but some need, like for especially like for me, the Berkeley essays were very emotional for me. And I remember even crying when I was writing one of the essays. So every college has a different process, and
Mm.
which is why it's very important to give every school the time it deserves. It's not going to be a copy paste. Like it's not going to be like, okay, got done with one school, I'll just copy paste this essay everywhere. Of course you'll have a few stories in mind. The way you present it, I think that's going to make a big difference, because every school requires different things. It's otherwise there'll just be one school if every school is the same, right? So every school comes with its own strengths, and I think that is very important to give every school the time it deserves. And you know what, like more than that, you at least need to give yourself the time, because you are the one putting in the effort. And most of the people apply in the last year of their college, which is the fun times. And of course you have to give up on some things of it, but if you start on early, of course you can say you can balance both things out. Yeah.
Mhm. So I think that would be pretty much it, Anushka. I think you've covered a lot of grounds, and I think there's just some incredible number of insights that all of you guys would have received from this particular discussion. So just go through this video again and again, because I think it's one of the most, I would say, honest assessment videos that, I've actually been a part of. And Anushka's given, I'm sure that you guys some very practical advice and tips to how to think about whether you should apply, should not apply, when you should begin, and obviously the process in itself and how it needs to be customized and stuff like that. Of course, if I can be of any help, do reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can reach out to Anushka. She's a wonderful mentor herself, I'm sure, and she will be of immense help to a lot of you guys who have a lot of questions. But yeah, I mean, if you come to us, we'll obviously give you a very honest assessment about what we think, and then obviously, you can make a decision to partner with us. and so on and so forth. But yeah, looking forward to it. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Of course, you can reach out to my support team. It is connect@tilden.in, which is CONNECT @tilden.in. All right. So with that, I will say goodbye to you, Anushka. And yeah, we will thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much, sir. And definitely apply, everyone. Definitely.
All right, guys. All the very best. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you.